So Murray, we're here in your house in Perth, Western Australia, and we're in your meditation room. Tell us a little bit about why this became your special room.
Well, I've lived here for 43 years, bought my home here 43 years ago, and I had my mother living here with me for 30 years, and this was her bedroom, this room. And then when she left, she broke her leg in 1998 and spent the last year in a nursing home. And then a year later she died, and then I decided to turn this room into my meditation room. It's because where Mum used to have to sleep, and so that's how it all began, this room.
So this is a special space for you.
What's a very special room.
Yes. What's your sort of daily routine like here?
Well, I meditate every morning for 20 to 30 minutes. So I've got do you remember that CD that the was it a CD or a tape or something that the ABC made? Remember?
Oh yes, with short talks.
Yeah. Well, the last 30 minutes, I don't listen to the interviews all over again, but the last 30 minutes of that CD is brilliant. You give a 5-minute instruction on meditation, then there's 20 minutes of silence on the CD, and then there's a gong, and then there's that beautiful scripture reading you read from which one is it? St. Paul's,
Ephesians?
Yes, that one. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. So I use that every time I meditate. I use that 30 minutes. So it's only really a 20 minutes of silence.
Yes.
But I've got so many tapes,
yes.
But that's the one I like best, and I use it every time. So I have that, I meditate morning and night, evening. But because I'm in a lot of pain, I meditate a lot more, and especially lately, since the pain has been so bad, the way I go, I might say meditate for half an hour, and then after meditating for half an hour, I feel amazingly, even though this pain has got so much worse, for a few days it was still really bad, so I meditated, and then after a while, by continually really concentrating on the mantra, I managed to meditate and still not feel the pain. The pain just, to begin with the meditation, the pain's there, just everywhere, all over my body. Then after a while, I'm completely unaware of the pain as I meditate. And then when the meditation is over, the pain returns, but I'm far more relaxed. Then I can go out, do the washing up or whatever, say work for half an hour. Then the pain is really bad again, so I come back here and I meditate again for half an hour, see? So that's my routine all day long when the pain is really bad. Sort of half an hour of doing tasks and duties, half an hour in here with meditating all day long.
And when you say the pain, does the pain sort of go, or do you
I'm just
feel
completely
that
unaware of it? Just unaware of it. Perhaps, I don't know. It's there when I'm finished meditating. It's there.
Does that always happen? Can you always do that when you meditate?
Almost.
Some days better than others?
Some days better than others. And lately, since the new year, my pain levels have just gone, I just couldn't believe that pain could be like it's been. And every day it's a bit worse than the day before. It's terrible. And yes, so there's some days I can't, the whole meditation I have in pain all the time, but no, even with this awful pain, there are times when I'm just unaware of the pain
I remember you told me once the doctors are very interested in you because you've got so many different conditions. Can you tell me basically where does the pain come from? What are the conditions that cause it?
I've got a lot of different medical conditions, but where the pain comes from, I've got 4 different types of arthritis. which includes a bone disease, which is why I'm so stiff that I can't turn my head at all. I've been like that for many, many years. I've had a constant headache since I was a teenager. I can't remember not having a headache, and that's all because of my neck being stiff. So yeah, it goes back a long time. It wasn't until I was in my 40s, about 44 years old, that I began to be diagnosed with these problems. And when the doctor actually diagnosed me, it was what are those doctors?
Osteopath?
They specialised in bones, orthopaedic. An orthopaedic surgeon was diagnosed me, and he had tears in his eyes. He diagnosed me as having, it's called for short, dish syndrome, and he had tears, his eyes filled up with tears, and he said, it's a terrible condition. He said, there's absolutely nothing we can do to help you, and every day of your life it will get worse, and the pain will get worse, and there's nothing we can do to help you. This was back in about the early 80s, about 1981, 82.
This dish syndrome, is that?
It stands for, take the 4 letters, DISH, diffuse idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis. Now the hyperostosis at the end of it, you'll notice how I've got what you would call a bamboo spine. See how my spine's all crooked like a bamboo? Well, I've just, my rheumatologist that I've been going to for 10 years, he said, no, you've got ankylosing spondylitis, which is very similar to dish. And now he put me in hospital a few weeks ago because he told me that that the United States had developed a really good treatment for ankylosing spondylitis, but it's evidently very expensive, and he had to prove that I actually had it by giving me lots of tests. And now he sent an application form to Tasmania of all places, and I'm waiting for the prescription to come. And then when it comes, the medication will be injections, which I will inject into my abdomen or my thigh. And I've heard that this medication is very, very effective at taking the pain away, so that's what I'm hoping for.
But you said even as a child you had headaches.
Yes, well, when I was diagnosed with the dish, back when I was in my 40s, he said I would have been born with that condition. Because the dish, what it means, you just continually growing bone, new bone everywhere, all over the place. So I've got numerous spurs everywhere, all over my body. Even on my skull, I've got spurs, little spurs. And that was interesting because when I was in hospital and they wanted to do the test to see if I had the ankylosing spondylitis, they had to do an X-ray of somewhere down here in my pelvic area, and that was going to prove whether I had this condition. The next day the doctor came and said, oh no, that X-ray's no good. I thought, oh gosh. And the radiographer said, well, maybe if we do a CAT scan. He said, I don't think the government will accept a CAT scan, they want an X-ray. But anyway, it seems as though they're going to accept the CAT scan because the CAT scan actually showed it. But when they did the X-ray, there was all this yucky bone in the covering over what they wanted to see what I mean? So that happens a lot when they do X-rays on me. They can't get to the area they want because it's all covered with unnatural bone.
So with the pain, which was getting worse, and the other anxieties and troubles, your understanding of God's love you never lost that sense that
No.
you never got angry or you said why me or
No.
Well, that's unusual for many people.
No, I can't remember ever blaming God for that. No.
Why do you think that was?
I think I probably just got used to being like I am.
You accepted it?
I think so, yes.
That
is what you've got to learn to do, is accept if you can accept, that's a very big thing.
Were you able to do that early on, or did that come
Yes,
later?
I mean, I suppose because I was a busy school teacher, I never had time to think of, and I had my mother, for the last part of my teaching career, my mother was helping me a lot because she was doing all the housework, everything. So, you know, yeah, so...
What would you advise, or what would you say to someone, you know, who perhaps has developed chronic pain or a serious condition later in life and finds it very difficult to accept, and they blame God and they blame everyone that they can blame? What is there anything you can say to someone about how to accept a condition like this?
Well, I think what people have got to realise, I mean, there was a time when my doctor, the one I've got now, that I had for 14 years, when I first started going to her, she said to me, "Oh, Mari, you've had a raw deal in life, all these things wrong with you." And I used to agree with her. But then after I'd been meditating for a while, I realised, no, hold on, that's wrong. Everybody has something to suffer. So, you know, if people are struck down with chronic pain, just hold on a minute, step back, think, Father Laurence, he's got plenty of problems. You know, I can imagine all sorts of things, worries that Father Laurence would have. Everyone has something, has things. You know, people might look as though they're these beautiful people, think, oh, there's nothing wrong with them, but they might have the terrible worries.
Sure.
You know, so physical pain is just one of those sorts of pains. There's lots of different types of pain. You can't really choose which one you want, but I suppose everybody has some sort of pain.
Or some mixture of them at times.
Yes,
as
I
well.
mean, there's relationship pains, there's all sorts of pain, financial pains.
Yes, yeah. You mentioned the importance of meditation in helping you come to that awareness. Can you tell me something about how you came to meditation? I know you can give me the exact date, which in 1987 it was a lucky day for you, but unlucky for others.
Yeah, Friday the 13th of March. Yes, at some stage in my life, I'm not quite sure when, I'd been into Pellegrini's, which was a Catholic bookshop we used to have in town. I don't know what I'd purchased, but on the way out I'd seen this box just outside on the pavement, just outside the door, and they were throwing out all sorts of little books for $1 each. So I bought a couple of these little books. Never got around to reading them, I'm not sure why. I don't know how long I had these books. Finally, on Friday the 13th of March, I opened up one of these little books and I began to read, and all of a sudden these 9 words stood out at me and my eyes were sort of glued. I couldn't go past these 9 words. What did I say? They were put the focus on God rather than on yourself. And I thought, yeah, but that's a good idea. I'm very self-centered, and yeah, so how can I do it? I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then 2 days later, I saw the advertisement that Father Laurence was coming to Perth, giving talks on meditation, but I saw no relationship between those two things. Then I spoke to Father Joe Butcher, one of the Palatines, who was my spiritual director. What do you think? Should I go and listen to Father Laurence? Oh yeah, I think it's a good idea. I said, oh, do you know him? No, but I trust him, he said. And he was really interested too, so he said, yeah, go along. So Father Laurence talked about mantras, and I thought, oh gosh, I don't know what this is all about. Then I listened and listened, I thought, oh, this is going to be the answer to how I take the faith of myself and put it on God. And it was, and it has been. That's exactly what it's been. And it's taught me so much because, yes, and, now what was I going to say? I was going to talk about awareness, how meditation teaches you to become more aware of other people and how they're in pain. That's something I was going to talk about to help people. What you've got to do if you're in chronic pain, don't fight it, don't be angry with God, befriend it. my pain is my friend, it's my best friend. My body, all crooked and bent as it is, that's my friend. And my pain and my body teach me such a lot. For instance, if I'm writing a cheque, say if I'm writing, my pain will say, "Why are you hurting me, Mari? You don't have to grab that pen so tight and cling to it so tight. Just hold it loosely." You know, and all these things, you know what I mean? They're telling me all the time, if I'm hurting, they'll tell me why, you know, sit up, do this, do that. That sort of helps. So yeah, but you've got to make a friend of your pain and of your body, no matter how misshapen and how diseased or whatever it is. That's your body, that's your friend, and it can teach you so much.
When the pain or all the medical treatment and going in and out of hospital, when that gets on top of you, which it must do from time to time, or you get frightened about the levels of pain, how do you cope with that?
I just meditate. It doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really get on. I can't think of it getting on top of me. Yeah, when I'm in a lot of pain, I just meditate. It's easier really now that Mum and Michael have gone, because I just have more time just for myself. You know, so, I mean, I had 2 breakdowns when Mum and Michael were up towards the end of their lives. When I had psychotic episodes, I had them about 18 months apart, and I've been fine since. The last one is in 1998. So I've been fine since then, because since Mum and Michael died, haven't had this extra stress.
Many people say that pain, I mean this is my very limited experience of it too, is when you have pain, it can make you very self-centered, because it's just my pain, and somebody else might be helping you with it, but basically you know that they can't feel it in the way you're feeling it, and so on. So, do you think that has happened to you, or
yes, I used to be like that a lot. I used to think, I've got the worst pain in the whole world. Yeah, and I'd get really upset that no one really cared about it. But now, as I say, meditation gradually made me realise that everybody has some kind of pain. So it just I don't feel like that anymore. I don't have those thoughts anymore. I'm not so self-centred or homed in on myself as my pain is really worse than anyone's. I don't believe that anymore. No.
If you were, one of the reasons we're having this conversation is to be able to help other people who may be watching it or will hear about it, who are dealing with chronic pain. Maybe they haven't had it as long as you had, and maybe it's more difficult for them to get used to, or even people with a terminal illness and they're dealing with a lot of physical discomfort that they haven't been used to before. For somebody who's new to it, or for whom pain is new, and they feel, will I ever get rid of this? Will it ever go away? And how can I cope? And maybe they've heard about meditation, maybe they've even started to meditate, but they feel, I can't meditate now because of the pain. What kind words or helpful words could you have for them?
Well, first of all, I would say that as far as I'm concerned, I often think of this about people, that this happens to, and I think, well, I'm really blessed because I've had the pain for so long. I've had a chance to really acclimatise to it. So yeah, it's very different. I've often thought this, that people who suddenly have had a very healthy life and then suddenly become very ill, this is terminal, it must be terrible. I just feel, yes, I really feel for those people. But how can I sort of suggest it? I just say, the first word the first thing you got to try and accept what's happening to you, and believe that it can get better. Just believe that there is treatment that will help, that medical science is continually working to help people who have terminal illnesses, all these things. So believe that, and don't fight it. Try and befriend it. It's no good being angry if you're in pain. That just makes it worse. If you get emotionally upset when you're in pain, you're going to double the pain over. It's much better to be relaxed and calm. And meditation is the way to do it. If you want to, it really helps such a lot if you're in a lot of pain to meditate, because to begin with you might find it difficult, but meditation, you are just concentrating by listening to that one word that you are repeating in meditation, your mantra. And the pain, if you can really concentrate on that word, it'll take a while to get into this, but if you can really concentrate, really listen on that one word, the pain will go while you meditate, and that happens to me. I mean, my whole body is literally screaming with pain when I sit down to meditate, but I just keep concentrating at repeating the mantra, listening to it. And that everybody talks about distractions in meditation. Well, a person who's in pain, the pain is their biggest distraction. And by concentrating on the mantra, you'll no longer have that distraction. You'll be unaware of it.
Mm. And then I know we don't usually ask people to describe the experience of meditation, but it might be helpful for people who are taking comfort from what you're saying. When you are able to concentrate on the mantra, as you say you can, and as the other distractions go and the pain goes, what's there? What do you feel then?
I just feel, I sort of can't put it in words, because then if I did, I'd break the silence, wouldn't I? But that's just very peaceful. When I come out of the meditation, I'm very calm and peaceful and relaxed. Mm. And it's just like, a very deep, peaceful feeling. Mm. Yeah, just very deep. It's not like sleep, and yet it's like meditation. I often meditate during the night if I can't sleep. And meditation is actually, I feel, better for you than sleep. If you've meditated for 8 hours each, you know how I do meditate every half hour, do my work for half an hour, then meditate for half. Yeah, it's just like, but it's not sleep, it's different to sleep. Because when I sleep, I snore my head off. When I meditate, I don't snore.
Well, the medical research seems to say that half an hour of meditation is worth 2 or 3 hours of ordinary sleep.
Yeah, I think that's probably right too. I think so. Yes.
How, in terms of the faith that you've had all your life from childhood, came to you from your family and from your ancestors, how has meditation helped you to grow in that faith, or to understand that faith better? Has it helped you?
It's been wonderful, because you just, when you're young, you're sort of given these things, this is what you believe that, you believe this. But with meditation, as you meditate, the more you meditate, you actually experience the truth of all those beliefs that you were taught. You can really experience this as really experience God within you. You really know God is there. Yes, you really experience it.
Do you think God suffers?
Yes, I do. I think God suffers. God suffers. He's a very loving God. God is love. But I do believe he does suffer. I don't know. Well, maybe he doesn't. I don't really know. Sure.
And Jesus, how has your sense of relationship to Jesus
Jesus
developed?
is very present because Jesus rose from the dead and then he sent the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit, his Holy Spirit is here all the time, with us all the time. And I'm very much in tune with Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and they inspire me and help me to, in every way, with my faith and just on my everyday life. They're here all the time with me.
Do you think suffering, or the pain, the kind of suffering that you've had through your pain, do you think that has helped you to come closer to God, or do you think it could help other people to come closer or to develop faith?
Yes, I think, yes, it definitely brings you closer to God. It's more meaningful. It's hard to describe, but yeah, it's sort of like, for instance, I'm unable to go to church anymore. I haven't been able to go to regularly to mass or anything for about 12 years or more, and yet and the priest comes every Sunday and brings me Holy Communion here in this room. This room, by the way, has been blessed by about 6 priests. You can bless it before you go. You can bless it now if you like.
Do you see the internet as a spiritual friend?
Yes, I do. Yes, people complain, the internet, terrible, evil, But no, it's a very spiritual place for me. The internet is very spiritual. Because the only site I really go to is for our World Community of Christian Meditation site. Oh yes, very. And isn't that wonderful about, the dreadful thing that's happened in Haiti, for instance, and we've got meditators in Haiti. Isn't that wonderful? And you've been to Haiti.
That's right.
You've been everywhere. You're amazing, Father Laurence.
Not everywhere yet, but getting there.
More than 100 countries. It's amazing. And then we've got, what's his name, Eugene? I made friends with him. And I sent a donation for Haiti to him. And I said, I don't think it'll gone through. And he said, I'll check up and let you know. And he hasn't got back to me, so I'll have to go.
No, he will. He just told me today, actually, he's getting a lot of... They've just received 6 patients, victims of the earthquake, who are paralysed, quadriplegic, and no other hospital will take them, and they're being taken in by this St. Boniface Foundation. So they're thinking they'll have to build they will build a new wing especially for that, and maybe some of our meditators can go and help there.
Yes, that would be good. Yes.
Do you feel close to those disasters when they happen?
Yes, I always feel very close to them. And I always, if ever there are occasions when I feel, oh gosh, this pain's really getting to me, and then I immediately think, no, what about if I was living in Haiti, one of the third world countries? I'd be dead.
Yes.
With all my conditions, I'd be dead. So, no, I'm very blessed to live in Australia.
What do you think your work is? What is your work now?
My what?
Your work.
Oh, my work. Well, I do sort of, in a way, I teach meditation, just because. I'll tell you an amazing story. Like, for 19 years I've been a client of Silver Chain. Silver Chain is an organisation that looks after people so that they can stay in their own home. And I've had home help. Now, I had a beautiful woman, Gail, used to help me in the house. She wasn't at all interested in religion, never wanted to talk. She never talked about religion. She knew I meditated. She never ever talked about meditation. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, she said, I'm going away, have 6 weeks leave. I thought, no, there's something wrong. I knew there was something wrong with her. And after the 6 weeks were up, she didn't come back. And I rang Silcher and I said, I think she's sick. I wouldn't believe they gave me her phone number. Now, they're not supposed to do that. I rang her. She said, Marie, I'm teaching myself to meditate. I'm going to church. So I sent her tape, so we became extremely good friends. She had inoperable breast cancer, because it was now in her bones. And for 3 years we were in contact all the time, and I taught her to meditate. And it meant such a lot to her. And yet she had not been at all interested in religion. But she'd noticed me, obviously. She just caught the spirit of it all, I think, by working here. She's a wonderful woman. She took such a pride in this house. It was just as though it was her own home, the way she cleaned it. She died in August last year, and I went to her funeral. But, she was beautiful, and meditation meant such a lot to her.
You've been an oblate, Benedictine oblate of the World Community for
3 years.
For 3 years as a final oblate, and you were 5 years before that you became a novice. Why did you do that? What does that mean to you?
I just wanted to be closer to the monastery, to sort of like to where you are, and just felt drawn to be. I don't know. I don't really know, Father. I just wanted to join that community of. It's just a loving community. Just want to be part of it.
To be closer, to feel closer. Well, Marie, you've given us a lot of sincere expressions of your faith and your experience, and what you've learnt through your friend, the pain, and I'm sure it will help many people who listen to this. I notice when you meditate, or when you just sit down, you have a lot of little things you have to do to make yourself feel comfortable. Do you have any, and I suppose it depends on the kind of pain people have and the kind of condition they're in, what they have to do to make themselves physically comfortable, but a lot of people would say it's the physical discomfort that prevents them from getting into the meditation. What would you say to them?
Well, when I first began to meditate, how you say, sit still, you have to be still. And I, like that, really sort of stiff like that, stillness. Then I thought, after a while, no, hold on a minute, you're in a lot of pain. You can wriggle a little bit if you want to. I allowed myself to wriggle as if I was in a group meditating, to wriggle without sort of upsetting the group in any way, do it in a very silent way, to just move myself a bit.
To adapt, really.
And, give yourself cushions if you need them, and you don't have to sit with your feet on the floor. Just make yourself as comfortable as you can. There was a time when I couldn't sit to meditate at all, and I was just meditating lying down.
Yes. So your posture isn't the most important thing.
I like to sit up to meditate, but if I can, so yes.
Yeah. Okay, but we could take a few more moments to meditate together just as we finish the conversation, but just before we do, is there anything you'd like to say, anything more you'd like to say to the people who are listening to this, who are saying, she can do it, but I don't think I can. That she can cope, she can meditate with this pain, she can concentrate on the mantra and go through it, and good for her, and she's inspiring, but I don't think I could do it. What encouragement would you give to people who feel that?
I honestly think that everybody can do it. I think that's a cop-out. If they think like that, that's a cop-out. Yes, I can't imagine anybody being in worse pain than what I am, even people that have cancer, because this pain is constant all over my body. And, getting worse. And I just think that everybody can meditate. There's no reason why anyone can't meditate. You just put your mind to it, that you're going to do it. Don't say to yourself, I can't do it, I'm this, I'm that, I can't do it. Just say, I'm going to do it. I will do it. I will. Make yourself do it. Yeah, everybody can meditate. Yes, if they say that, they're not really wanting to meditate.
They might say, well, that's a bit hard to say that.
No, I don't think that if they really wanted to meditate, they would persist. Surely people can persist and dedicate themselves to something if they really want to, no matter how sick or tired or whatever they are.
Well, thank you for sharing all this, Maury, because I think anyone who's listened into this conversation we've been having will find encouragement to persevere and to persist.